Hey everyone, and welcome to the Mark Prater podcast, where our aim is to connect our global family of churches with our executive director. Mark, a couple of podcasts ago, and then in the email communication, we were informed about the leadership team expanding, adding John Payne and Eric Terbetsky, who was already on the team, and Jared Mellinger. One of the reasons why that you communicated was a need to bring the next generation of Sovereign Grace pastors, younger men, into leadership roles to invest in and then think about our future, because the older guys, while we love them, won't be around forever. So when you look across Sovereign Grace, when you think about our future, which I know is something that you do, what are your thoughts about the next generation of pastors, how we're doing in identifying and raising up men like that, and any encouragements you would have in that regard?
Well, my prayer and my hope is that should God allow us, that Sovereign Grace would be a multi-generational denomination.
Yes.
Kind of let's start with the big picture. And that's what lies behind the recent leadership team reconfiguration. It's a step towards the second generation really beginning to lead. And now just thinking about the generations beyond them
Yeah.
who can lead in Sovereign Grace first within their local church. So I don't think I really have a good feel on how our churches are doing. Here's my overall observation, though. It seems we've got fewer men who feel called to pastoral ministry than what we used to several years ago. And I'm not sure I understand why. I've got some guesses. One of them is just the culture's influence, meaning just the culture's apathy towards the local church. This is always been an existing issue. It's not a new one, but it's still, I think, one that operates in guys' minds. They can make more money in the marketplace than you can in ministry. You don't get into ministry to make a lot of money.
Right.
And I think, thirdly, regardless of what nation your church is in, regardless of where in the world you pastor, just the culture's trend, especially on social issues, probably tells a young man that being a pastor in the future is going to be filled with a number of pastoral leadership challenges, where Christianity is going to be in stark sort of contrast to where the culture is headed. So those are some of my guesses of why we don't seemingly have the called men that we used to.
Just an additional observation over this pandemic, I've lost track of the amount of people who've made the wise observation. I would not want to be in your shoes having to lead through this season. So the challenges that people watch us facing certainly could have an effect on one's desire for that task. What encouragements might you have for us as pastors as we think about how we identify, encourage, raise up this next generation of pastors?
Yeah, it's a great question. Just a number of thoughts. Obviously, be just looking, and not just looking at men who are just graduating from college. Look younger. Look into the high school years, and maybe even into grade school if you can. And just observing guys. That'd be one thing. I think secondly, and you were mentioning this before we began to record the podcast, just getting together with young men and being with them. And I think there's a number of things you can do when you're with them. But one of the things I would really encourage a pastor to do is talk about your own call into pastoral ministry. There's that verse in 1 Corinthians 9, verse 16, where Paul says, "Necessity is laid upon me. Woe to me if I do not preach the gospel." And you can feel the emotion coming from those words almost.
Yeah.
I'm reading through David Garland's book commentary on 1 Corinthians right now. I'm doing that devotionally. A great commentary, by the way. And he begins to unpack that verse, and he talks about this God originated compulsion that comes upon a man that stirs his heart, where he's just compelled to give his life to the gospel and the gospel ministry, where he feels this, woe to me if I don't preach the gospel. Not all guys have that experience in their pathway into pastoral ministry, but if you have, I just begin to talk about that a bit. It'll be one thing that you could do.
Yeah, I mean, I just additionally, my thoughts, I think even just not needing to have some sort of complicated leadership development program track, even if guys aren't doing this already and feel busy, just inviting young men into your life to come along with you into different environments and hang out. And even I would suggest doing something that might feel a little risky at times, which is to find ways to even delegate some leadership to a young man, to
Hmm.
an 18, 19-year-old man, and give him that responsibility if he's willing to take it up and see what's going on there.
That's a great idea. You know, the guys who are joining the leadership team, Eric, you mentioned John Payne, Jared Mellinger, also Dave Taylor. They were a part of a leadership development
Right.
group we started, I think, 3 or 4 years ago. We met once a year on a retreat, and of course, we had a plan. There's certain things that we were talking about, but there were just those times when we could just hang out together, have a long meal together,
Right.
and the kind of conversation you have there really does equip, I think, young men for ministry. So it's very similar to what you're doing, Ben. And I don't think that it is real hard. If like, guys, where do I start with leadership development?
Yeah.
I think that's a great place to start. Gather some young men and just hang out with them.
Yeah. Not that hard to do, although I know it is challenging in a busy schedule, but important.
Right.
This is a very
Right.
important area. Much more could be
Right.
said, Mark, but our time here is done. So uh, maybe we'll talk more about this on another podcast. But thanks for your thoughts. Thanks for your heart and vision for our future. And thank you, everyone, for watching. We'll see you back here next time. God bless you.
Thank you for watching. If you have questions or comments, Mark would love to hear from you. For more videos like this, hit subscribe on YouTube or by email at markkprater.com.